So no surprise, accountability, awareness, self-reflection, questioning yourself and your approach, all those things are things I value heavily. I think they are important to kind of think better, be better, the way I talk about it. And I've been thinking about them a lot in terms of the current political environment. We are, I think, less than 50 days now from the election. So it's hard to look at any form of media and not see some news about it. And most of it is, either side trying to convince the other side who you should vote for. And something I think about a lot, and I'll say this, right? I've said it in other videos. I'm not a huge fan of any politicians, really. I shouldn't say any. I'm sure there's some that I think are good, but by and large, and the two candidates we have for president, I'm not a fan of either, for varying reasons at differing levels. But there's nobody here that I feel like is a clear front runner. But the interesting dynamic I talk about, and this isn't in defense of Donald Trump in any way, because as I just said, I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he should be president of the United States. But a dynamic that I've noticed related to this accountability, self-reflection point is that many people, and let's even just stick with the politicians, right? Many politicians on the left, Democratic Party, are as you would expect, same the way the right is, are on full-on assault of, you can't reelect this person. He shouldn't be president. He's not suited for the job. He's terrible at it. And there's almost an air of like, it's obvious, right? Like we shouldn't even have to say this, but obviously it's true. And with that comes almost an air of arrogance or conceit with it. Of like, again, like I shouldn't even have to explain this. Like this is embarrassing, right? That he's even our president. We should all be embarrassed. This is it's pathetic that that's the case. And often it's obviously pointed at him directly, and it's pointed at voters to try and get them to understand, what they believe the dynamic is. But the piece I think is always missing is that reflection and accountability piece. And what do I mean by that? By that I mean, there's an alternative. There was an alternative 4 years ago, and it doesn't have to just be Trump, right? It's other members of the Republican Party, particularly those that are very supportive of Trump, right? Assuming you have that same mindset about them, there is an alternative, right? It's a two-party system. There is the Democratic candidates. The people have seen that alternative, and they've chosen Trump. Right? Now you could debate how many people, right, to the electoral college and all that stuff. Put that aside for a sec, right? Let's say, even if in this election, let's say 35 million people come out and vote for Trump, right? And he doesn't win, but it doesn't matter, right? There's some tens of millions of people have seen the other side and what is to be offered. And they've said, we're going to go with this guy that you're telling me is horrific and terrible. Now you can look at that, and there's probably some truth to this, and say, what the hell is wrong with those people? How could they look at that guy and vote for him? And there's probably some truth to that, right? I wouldn't, again, this isn't a defense of him. The point is, if that's all you're doing, I believe you're doing it wrong. You need to look at that and say, what the hell does that say about me or our party if that many people saw these two choices and decided, I'm going with that guy? You have to look inward. You have to hold yourself accountable and be self-reflective and say, what am I doing wrong? How is it possible that I've put forth what I would do or what our group would do, right, our party would do, and this many people thought that was the better alternative? That has to be part of the equation when you're thinking about the problems we're in and what needs to change and all those things. Because if you're missing that, if you're just putting it on the voters or you're putting it on the media or Russia or whatever you're putting it on. It's not to say those things don't have degrees of truth to them. Who's to say how much, right? I don't know. But the thing I would say with as close as I ever get to absolute certainty is that there is some contribution. There is some contribution to this current situation that has to sit with the other side. You have a huge number of people who, for various reasons, feel like, in many cases, in spite of all the things he says and does, that is the best person to represent me as president, right? That's the best person to navigate and drive the country. If it were me, right, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm missing it, but if it were me on the other side of that, that would be my view. My view would be, what in the hell did we do wrong to have that happen? Because we must have done something wrong. We have to have some role in this, right? We either came on too strong, we cried wolf too many times, we did our own forms of manipulation and different things. We weren't, always acting in good faith. There's stuff there. There's stuff there that leads people to say, I see it, I see what you're offering, I don't like it, I want that. And some of that is legitimate. And we know this, right? You look at the political parties, you look at politicians, you look at what they do. As I said in the beginning, there's plenty of Democrats. There's plenty of Republicans, there's plenty of Democrats who should not be in public office, who do not act in good faith, who do not have the best interest of the people in mind, who are too self-involved or too certain in their own abilities, don't question themselves enough, don't listen enough. The list can go on and on. We know that's true. So how could you, in good conscience, as a Democrat in this case, and again, it can go either way, say, what's wrong with those people that they voted for him? How do you not look inward? How do you not? How do you not start to take account for yourself and say, what should I be doing differently here? Because I led to this in some way. So again, I bring this up not as a political, partisan thing to defend or to make a case for who should win or who shouldn't. I bring it up because I just think it's a perfect example of why these skills and this mindset is so important. It's so easy to just get caught up in looking at everybody else and what they're doing wrong and thinking you've got it all right. But this is an example where it seems to me clear as day. There's plenty that you should be looking inward about. There's plenty that you should be questioning. And if your objective is what you say it is, that you believe the country needs to be better and this person should not be president, well, if I'm meant to believe that, show me. Show me the actions. Show me where you're holding yourself accountable, where you're trying to be better than that, where you're trying to do it the right way, and you're trying to understand, why did so many people look at these two alternatives and go that way? There must be some part of it in which I did. Show us that.